Hi everybody, welcome to another table talk. So I just wanted to cover a few more lessons learned, maybe some housekeeping type stuff that I've discovered in my journey using and evaluating this FlySky FS-i6 transmitter. So I won't bore you with the details as to why I did it, but I've been noticing over the last couple of flight sessions that the timer, after upgrading it, if you've watched other videos, I've upgraded this with the 10-channel firmware upgrade, primarily because initially I wanted the timer that was included in that software upgrade. So anyway, my spider senses have been kind of tingling a little bit that perhaps the timer in this was a bit slow. So what I did was I actually calibrated it. I ran two tests, one using sort of a countdown timer on my cell phone and another one using a countdown timer on my watch. So I set the timer in this transmitter at 4 minutes. Same thing on the other two devices. Started the timer, hit the button on my phone or watch at the same time. And what I was finding was both times when the watch and the phone went off at 4 minutes, this timer in here had only counted up to about 343, 344. So there was about a 16, 17 second discrepancy there, or about 4 seconds per minute. So, meaning that, for example, if I had the timer set at 4:30, let's say, it was actually not going off till realistically about 4:46, 4:47. Now I know that may not seem, drastically important, but especially when I'm flying with maybe some of my older batteries where time, the time flying is pretty critical before they really start to discharge a bit too far. So anyway, I just wanted to pass that along as a lesson that I learned. So if you've done the firmware upgrade and you really want to have a fairly accurate timer, what I would do is I just run a quick calibration test like that and sort of see what the discrepancy is. So now what I will probably do is if I want like a 4:30 timer, I'll set the timer in here for about 4:10 because I can only set it in like 10-second increments. And then that way, when it goes off at 4:10, I'm probably closer to like 4:26, something like that. In real time. So yeah, erring on the side of caution there, I guess, by a few seconds. And then that way, if for whatever reason, let's say I have to go around because I blow my first landing approach, I'm not going to be in a situation where I'm going to run my batteries really, really low. So anyway, I just wanted to pass that along. Second thing, I think I've mentioned in the past, I was considering doing a mod so that I'd be able to use like a 2S 850 milliamp LiPo, or even a small LiFi about the same size. And I don't think I'm going to be in any big rush to do that. I've showed you this probably in previous videos if you've watched along in this playlist. These are just nickel metal hydride AA batteries. I've got 8 of them, so I can charge 4 at a time. Have 4 freshly charged anytime that I want. So what I've been finding with these is they're really working out a lot better than I originally expected. Normally when I put a fully freshly charged set in the transmitter, it'll come up at 5.25 volts or whatever. And then it'll drop slowly, and then it sort of levels off right at around 4.6, 4.7. So I'll just turn it on. Right now it's showing, it's just sort of fluctuating right around 4.65 volts. And I've actually flown with this now probably about 6 or 7 times since putting the fresh batteries in. And as I mentioned in a previous video, most of my flying sessions I'm out there flying, a dozen flights or so. So my transmitter is probably on and working, like I'm physically flying an airplane for about an hour, and then it's just sitting around idle for a few minutes here and there as I'm doing something with my plane. So I'm really, really impressed. Like, it has stayed at between 4.6, 4.7 volts for the last half dozen sessions. I think I read in the manual the cutoff, safe cutoff is about 4.2 volts before you should really get worried about replacing the batteries or recharging them or whatever. So I'm going to continue to evaluate that because I'm pretty sure I should be able to get you know, a few more flying sessions out of it. And since I have those nickel metal hydride batteries already, I'm just going to continue using those you know, till they're basically won't take a charge anymore or they're done. I'm actually, like I said, I'm very suppressed and pleasantly surprised because these batteries are, I guess, about 4 years old, 5 years old, and they've just sort of sat around, haven't got a lot of use until recently. So anyway, that's my my battery thing. I mentioned in a previous video that after I upgraded the firmware, I wasn't 100% sure if I had 19 slots, you know, for a total of 19 models before I did it, because after I did the firmware upgrade, I only had 19 model slots. Now this isn't a big deal because I probably, you know, I have to sort of discipline myself to have no more than about 8 planes in my hangar at any one time. But it was really starting to bug me. So what I did was I only have one plane in here that I'm currently flying with. So what I did was I wrote down all the settings that I had programmed, because when you flash new firmware on it, it erases all of your previous memory. So I flashed it back to the factory default and found out that when I went back to factory default, I did in fact have 20 slots. So I'm guessing maybe what happens there is when you upgrade the firmware, you know, all the extras that you're adding in there might take up a little bit of the memory, and then you lose that slot. But I mean, it's only one, and I mean, considering, you know, the price of this, to have 19, still have 19 slots for planes, I mean, that I would think that's pretty good for just about anybody. So I did get my my receivers in the mail from eBay. Again, I think I might have put the link in the last video, but I'll put it again down below. These are actually the vendor I picked them up from on eBay. Now he may be sold out now, I don't know, but I'll put the link. I found they were a little bit cheaper. I think they were $1 or more cheaper than Banggood, and again, shipping was free, and actually ended up getting here a little faster than what they would normally take from Banggood. Okay, the other thing that I'm evaluating, and I'm still trying to educate myself, is actually making use of the 10 channels that I upgraded when I did the firmware upgrade. The reason being is that in this fall-winter build season for me coming up, I'm going to be building a plane that's going to have a bit more complex setup than what I normally use. And what I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to figure out how to do is I want to be able to have V-tails. So that when my rudders or my elevators go up, my rudders actually sort of kick in to help with extra pitch authority. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm eventually, as that draws closer, I'm going to pick up a FlySky FS-i6 receiver from Banggood, or maybe if I can find it on eBay for cheaper. I'll put the link down below where I found it on Banggood anyway. I'm gonna see what I can do. So I need to do some more research. I haven't had much luck finding on YouTube how I can, you know, figure out how to do that, and maybe I won't be able to do it. I don't really know. But if worse comes to worse for me, I'll just program that plane into my Turnigy 9X with the ER9X. The reason being is I went in and to see, was playing around to see if I could, because you know, with my SU-30, I'm using the Elevon spot for the Elevons, and so what was happening was I couldn't, when I went to use the V-tail mix, I couldn't use the, it wouldn't let me do it, because as soon as I turned on, selected the V-tail mix, it told me that Elevons were already being used. But now that I think about it, maybe I could try, I think I just might have answered my own question, maybe I can try using the third mix, because I still have one mix that hasn't been used yet, so maybe I can try using the third mix actually for my Elevons, and then use the V-tails. So anyway, yeah, so we'll see, but I'll need my the 10-channel receiver for that, because currently with the 6-channel receiver, I have to have because I'm running 2 rudders, I have to run those in with a Y harness, and I need in order to have the V-tails, I need to have my rudder servos working on in independent channels. But anyway, hopefully I can remember that when I get my 10 channel receiver. So we'll see how that goes. So there we go, folks. Yeah, so the major update, like I said, the lesson learned was about the timer. So again, you know, maybe just double check it if you've done the firmware upgrade and you want a fairly accurate timer. Just do a bit of a calibration check, see you know how your timer is in relation to, you know, the time on your watch or your phone or whatever. Obviously mine is you know, pretty slow, 4 seconds slow per minute. That's pretty considerable. So anyway, now that I know that, I can set my timer appropriately to compensate. So yeah, so there we go. So again, check out down below. I'll have, if you've missed any of the stuff, I'll have a link to the thread on the RC Powers forum that I've started that has all my videos in this series and some of my other lessons learned, things like that as I've been going along. Now that I've got a couple of receivers, a couple of my other park jets that I'm going to build this fall, winter, I'll be putting into this transmitter, you know, to continue to further evaluate this for its durability, longevity over, you know, a longer period of time. So yeah, so there we go, folks. Thanks very much for watching. Blue skies, calm winds to everyone. Park jet noise, the other sound of freedom, baby. Take care.